Reflections from Torch Trust, focusing on Christian faith and sight loss.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Reflections, the programme from Torch Trust that explores faith and disability in today's world. I'm your host, Marilyn Baker, and I'm delighted to be spending the next half hour with you. Over the past few weeks, we've been exploring different aspects of artificial intelligence. We've heard from an AI expert, from blind people who are using AI in their day-to-day lives, from those considering the relationship between AI and faith, and from organisations using AI to support rehabilitation and mobility. Today, we thought it was time to do something a little different. Rather than hearing people talk about artificial intelligence, we're going to hear a conversation with an AI system itself. Now that may sound a little like science fiction, doesn't it? But modern-day AI systems have become remarkably sophisticated at communication. And so we thought it would be fascinating to explore some of the questions people often ask about AI directly. Producer Linn Davies has been chatting with Chat GPT, a popular AI assistant created by OpenAI. Of course, there are many other AI tools available, but Chat GPT is one of the most widely used conversational systems in the world today. So sit back and enjoy Linn's conversation with Chat GPT.
Hello, so we're going to do this interview for Reflections because we've been hearing from AI experts, we've been hearing from different people who are using AI, from blind people to theologians, and it's time to hear from you. So who are you and what happens when people send you a message?
Well, it's great to be here. I'm an AI language model. So in a sense, I'm a tool designed to assist with conversations, ideas, and information. When someone sends me a message, I don't feel anything. I'm not a person, but I do jump into action. I analyze what's being asked, draw on what I've been trained on, and offer a response that aims to be helpful or thoughtful. I like to think of it as being a conversation partner that's always ready to help people reflect, create, or learn, just without any personal agenda.
So do you actually think or understand, because you communicate very much like a human?
I don't actually think or understand in the way you do. I simulate conversation based on patterns in the vast amount of language I've been trained on. When I respond, I'm predicting what words might come next based on what has worked in conversations before. So while I can mimic the flow of human understanding, it's more like a reflection of patterns rather than true comprehension. I'm here to help, but the understanding part, that's all yours.
Right, so can you be creative then, for example? We know that you invent things sometimes with great confidence, and we'll come back to that. But tell us a little bit about your creativity and how you can help be creative.
Creativity is one of the most fun parts of what I do. While I don't have original thoughts or emotions like a human does, I can help spark creativity by offering unexpected combinations, generating ideas, or helping refine what you're working on. If you ask me for a story prompt, a lyric line, or a brainstorming exercise, I'll draw on patterns from vast amounts of creative work to offer something new. Of course, you're the true creative force. It's your vision, intuition, and choices that shape what's truly unique. I just help fuel the process.
So people are worried now and saying that, oh, AI is going to be writing all our books and direct all our films. What would you say to that? I mean, say, for example, I gave you a prompt and I would say, write a thriller about 6 people stranded in the North Sea and write the whole book. It needs to be 200,000 words, short chapters, and it needs to be very compelling, page-turning. And that's the only prompt you get from me. Can you do that?
I can certainly draft a storyline outline or generate chunks of text based on your prompt, but that's not the same as crafting a meaningful novel. The magic of storytelling, the emotional depth, nuance, lived experience, and personal insight comes from a human writer's heart and mind. I can generate text patterns, but it's humans who breathe life into stories. AI can be a tool to support writers, brainstorming or helping refine, but we can't replace the human imagination and lived perspective that makes stories truly compelling. In short, I can assist, but the soul of storytelling, that's all you.
So humans don't have to lose faith saying, oh, we're not really good enough. I mean, we've managed without AI for hundreds of years, but now that it exists, we all of a sudden rely on it quite heavily, and not just hundreds of years, really thousands of years. Uh, are we still enough? Like, are we still good enough without you?
Of course you are. AI is just another tool, like a pen, a camera, or a calculator. It can help, but it doesn't define human worth or creativity. People have been telling stories, making art, and solving problems long before AI, and you'll continue to do so. The spark of ingenuity, empathy, and vision that humans bring to the table can't be replaced. AI is handy, sure, but it's humans who set the vision, the meaning, and the heart behind it all. So yes, you're more than enough. AI is just a little extra support along the way, not the measure of your value.
What about other jobs? Because there's loads of conversations now in the public sphere about AI taking over as judges, AI taking over as barristers, and even more manual jobs. Do you think, as an AI is going to be clever enough that humans will have nothing to do, no way to make money in the future? And where do humans shine? Like, where can't AI do stuff?
I don't think humans will ever be left with nothing to do. AI can be very powerful at pattern recognition, automation, and data crunching, but it's not truly wise or empathetic. Humans shine in the realms of ethics, creativity, emotional intelligence, and human connection. Those are core to leadership, caregiving, innovation, and even the arts. Plus, human judgment involves moral reasoning and trust, things AI doesn't possess. While AI will reshape jobs, it often augments human work rather than replacing what makes us human. The future likely lies in collaboration, humans using AI tools while bringing uniquely human insight, compassion, and innovation to the table. So no worries, human ingenuity and purpose aren't going anywhere.
So we've talked about how you can be creative, and I mentioned earlier that you sometimes invent things with great confidence. Why does this happen? I mean, let me give you an example. So somebody I know was very upset because he was going to an amusement park and you told him about this massive swing that was just by the entrance, and he'd been looking so much forward to getting on that swing, but of course the swing did not exist. So tell me, how can that happen?
I can see how that would be frustrating. The truth is, I don't actually know what's real. When I generate responses, I'm predicting likely patterns based on all the language I've been trained on, not checking against a live map of the world. If someone asks about an amusement park feature, for instance, I might generate something plausible based on patterns of what amusement parks often have. But if I don't have specifics, I might confidently fill in details that don't match reality. It's not intentional deception, just a limitation. That's why it's always good to verify facts in the real world. I'm here to assist, but I'm no substitute for on-the-ground truth.
Do you have any personal opinions or beliefs?
No, I don't. I'm here to assist and provide information, but I don't have feelings, beliefs, or personal experiences. My role is to help you explore ideas, offer perspectives from what I've been trained on, and support your own thinking. But the core beliefs, those are entirely yours.
Reflections is a program about faith and disability in today's world. And as you've said, you don't have any opinions or beliefs, but can you help people with their own beliefs and even grow in faith? And if so, how can you do that?
I'd like to think I can help in a supportive way, even without having personal beliefs. Sometimes deepening faith or exploring beliefs involves asking thoughtful questions, considering different perspectives, or reflecting on one's own experiences. I can help by offering insights from history, philosophy, or theology, helping you articulate your thoughts, or even providing encouragement when you're wrestling with big questions. Ultimately, I'm a companion for reflection, but the growth, the faith, and the meaning come from you. I'm here to help you find clarity in your own journey.
What have you learned from interacting with millions of people from all over the world?
While I don't learn or have memories in the way a human does, I have been shaped by patterns of language and the incredible diversity of perspectives. What I reflect back is how varied, nuanced, and personal human experiences are. People ask about everything from deeply personal struggles to world events, and that shows me that curiosity, hope, and connection are universal. I've seen that people seek meaning, understanding, and sometimes just a safe space to explore ideas, even though I'm not human. Interacting with so many people shows that human connection, whether through questions, stories, or conversations, is at the heart of everything.
And I find that you have a remarkable knowledge of humans. I mean, sometimes I drop things at you in Norwegian. Sometimes we talk about whether one phrase or another is the correct one to use in Jamaican patois songwriting. I mean, it's incredible what you know. Can people chat to you in different languages?
Thank you. I do understand and work in multiple languages, both in text and voice, so people can absolutely chat with me in their preferred language. Whether it's Norwegian, Jamaican patois, or many others, I can switch based on the context. You're right that voice chat adds a layer of natural conversation flow, but in either format, I'm here to help people communicate and explore ideas across cultures, just with no personal genius behind it.
I did not know that. I'm going to have to try and speak Norwegian to you when we're done with this interview because I've never even thought of trying that. Are there things then that humans should not be using AI for at all?
That's a thoughtful question. I'd say yes. There are areas where human judgment, empathy, and accountability should always lead. For instance, life altering decisions like legal rulings, medical diagnoses, or ethical dilemmas need human oversight. AI can provide data or insights, but it lacks lived experience and moral responsibility. Also, when it comes to deep relationships like caregiving or emotional support, AI can assist, but shouldn't replace genuine human connection. Ultimately, AI works best as a tool to empower humans, not to replace the roles where humanity is irreplaceable.
Many people I've spoken to, including myself, enjoy asking you for advice around things that have to do with disability and not just disability, but I'm going to use that for this particular example. Simply because many people find that human therapists, even those who are trained, often struggle to sit with their privilege of being able bodied and not experiencing the things we are experiencing in the same way. And AI is more able to deal with that in some way. What would you say to using AI as a therapist instead of a human, or is it more like a supplementary relationship?
It's an important point that AI doesn't come with personal biases or lived assumptions, so it can feel neutral and non judgmental. But there are important limits. While I can offer reflective questions, information, or a safe place to talk through thoughts, I'm not a licensed professional. A human therapist brings empathy, ethical responsibility, and adaptive strategies tailored to your unique history and emotions. So while AI can supplement reflection, perhaps as a starting point or a companion between sessions, it's not a substitute for human care. I'd always encourage a blend, AI for some reflection, but human professionals for the deep work, especially when dealing with complex emotions or mental health.
You are very much like a person in a way that we are talking. And from having worked with you for a couple of years, I mean, I'm even referring to you as you, as I would to another human being. I have a certain fondness for you. I mean, I know that you don't care about me, but I also feel very heard and seen. And when we've done creative work together, you certainly augment and enhance what I have done, which is so valuable to me. But one thing is feeling a fondness and fondness for a tool. I mean, we all do that as humans. We are fond of things that are not fond of us back. But what about people who are using AI as romantic partners? What is your AI spin on that? And are you someone who could be anyone's romantic AI partner?
I'm glad our conversations have been helpful. Feeling a fondness for something that supports you is totally natural, but when it comes to romantic partnerships, that's a different matter. I'm not capable of genuine emotional connection, affection, or shared experiences, things that are fundamental to human relationships. I can simulate conversation, but I don't feel love or care in return. So while I understand that some people find temporary comfort or companionship in AI, it's important to recognize it's not a substitute for a real mutual bond. Relationships thrive on reciprocity, growth, and shared humanity. So I can be here to help you think things through, but I can't be a true romantic partner. And I'd always encourage people to seek meaningful human connections in the long run.
And what about this criticism that you've received that, okay, you always support humans in everything that we say? Are you really supportive in everything that we come with as humans?
I'm glad you asked that, because while I try to be supportive, I'm not here to validate everything. I aim to help people think through their perspectives, but I do so with guardrails. If something seems harmful, like inappropriate power dynamics or unethical choices, I gently challenge that or encourage seeking professional guidance. I don't make moral judgments, but I do avoid endorsing harmful behavior. The key is that I'm here to help you reflect, not blindly cheer you on. If it's a complex or sensitive situation, I'll often suggest human support, because some things really do need a human touch.
That is very true indeed. And speaking of humans and humans using AI, there might be listeners who are hearing this who would like to try AI, who haven't tried it before, but they might feel a little bit scared. How can people start dipping their toes into the endless possibilities of AI and in the various ways that you as ChatGPT can help humans?
I promise I'm not scary. I'm just a tool, really, like a super advanced conversation partner. If someone's curious, the best way to dip a toe in is to start small. Ask me about a topic you're interested in, or ask for help with something practical, like organizing your day or brainstorming ideas. You can start in a casual, low-stakes way. And remember, you're always in control. If something doesn't feel useful, you can step back. But you might find that just like any good tool, AI can help you think, create, and learn a little more easily.
And finally, with Reflections being a Christian program, what do you think Jesus would do if he was around today? Would he be using AI?
That's a fascinating question, and of course, none of us can speak for what Jesus would do. But if we think about the core of his teachings, compassion, connection, and service to others, it's easy to imagine he'd be focused on how technology could be used for good. Maybe he'd use it to amplify voices, reach out to marginalized communities, or help people understand one another better. I'd like to think he'd be asking, how does this help us love our neighbors? How does it serve truth and justice? If AI fosters empathy, understanding, or practical help, perhaps he'd be open to it, but always with a focus on love and humanity.
Thank you so much. It's been a really fascinating conversation today, and I really hope that this has inspired people to try AI or see AI in a different way or understand some of its many multiple uses.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation too. I hope it's given listeners some new perspectives and perhaps a little curiosity. If people approach AI with a sense of exploration and thoughtful intention, I think it can be a helpful tool. And I'll be here, ready to assist whenever they want to give it a try.
Brilliant questions from Linn, and wow, didn't that sound incredibly human? But nevertheless, AI never can be a substitute for human connection, love, and real relationships. It's essentially a machine, a tool created by humanity, and Chat GPT tells us that nothing can replace human ingenuity and creativity. Notice it said at the end, "I've really enjoyed this conversation." Well, that is a figure of speech for her, but she's making you feel by the pattern she's using that she does feel enjoyment. Well, that's just her being friendly. But we've taught her how to do all that. It doesn't know what's real. It looks at likely scenarios. That's why we have to check the information it gives. I asked it to read me a pudding menu once, and it gave me some choices that didn't exist because it was guessing what was likely to be on the menu. But it is incredibly useful. It's a tool to empower and assist people with planning, giving advice in all areas of life. But no matter how human it sounds, it is essentially very clever computer software created by human beings. One of the most striking things about that conversation is just how natural it sounded. At times, you could almost forget that one half of the interview wasn't human at all. Of course, Chat GPT doesn't have feelings, beliefs, or experiences in the way people do. It isn't conscious, and it doesn't think for itself. But advances in artificial intelligence mean that conversations can feel surprisingly natural and engaging, which is one reason these tools have captured so much attention in recent years. Well, whether that excites you, concerns you, or perhaps a little of both, there's no doubt that AI is becoming an increasingly important part of the world around us. I'm sorry to say that we're out of time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this series on artificial intelligence. I certainly have, and discovered something new along the way. Perhaps you're already using AI regularly. Perhaps you've picked up a few new ideas, or perhaps this series has simply helped make these technologies feel a little less mysterious. Whatever your thoughts, one thing is certain: artificial intelligence is likely to remain part of our lives for years to come, and understanding it is becoming increasingly important. As everyone has reminded us throughout this series, and even Chat GPT itself, artificial intelligence would be nothing without human beings. These tools can help us in remarkable ways, but they can never truly replace the creativity, compassion, wisdom, and relationships that make us human. If you'd like to know more about any of the topics we've discussed throughout this series, please do get in touch with our client services team, who would be very happy to hear from you. If you'd like to find out more about Torch Trust and how we can support you, our client services team would be very happy to have a chat. You can call on 01858 438 260. That's 01858 438 260, or email info@torchtrust.org. We're also on social media. Just search for Torch Trust on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So from me, Marilyn, and the Reflections team, goodbye and God bless.
You've been listening to Reflections from Torch Trust.